About 2 million years ago, a 2-meter tall, two-legged land predator walks the grasslands of South America. This isn't a dinosaur, but a just as scary bird descendant of the dinosaurs, a terror bird. These birds were the apex predators of South America for 60 million years, but they disappeared around 2 million years ago. What caused their extinction, and how did we even get to these carbon copies of the dinosaurs in the first place? The home of these creatures, South America, split from the rest of the world and became isolated around 35 million years ago. After that point, pretty much all of the inhabited continents, with the exception of Australia, were connected with each other at some point, which gave them a huge pool of different mammals to compete with each other and gain dominance across the continents. South America, on the other hand, had only a few herbivorous marsupials, rodents, crocodiles, and birds, with multiple niches of different predator being vacant. So the only real candidates were the carnivorous birds and crocodiles, of which both developed to a more terrestrial lifestyle. The terror birds in particular descended from smaller, flight-able birds similar to modern-day seriamas that can fly but spend most of their time on land. And in fact, the seriamas are the closest living relatives of the terror birds today. Over time, natural selection favored larger specimens that were able to hunt larger prey. So these small birds evolved to be the 3-meter tall apex predators we all know and love today. But this doesn't mean all terror birds were that huge. Some stayed at smaller sizes and specialized into hunting smaller prey like snakes or frogs. The bigger ones, however, showed the most interesting features. The tallest species, Calanking, stood 3 meters tall, and the heaviest species, Brotornis, weighed up to 400 kilograms. And while this increased weight and size usually means slower speed, these terror birds could reach running speeds of 45 kilometers an hour or higher, all thanks to their long and powerful legs. And if a 3-meter tall bird running at you at 45 kilometers an hour didn't sound scary enough, mechanical models showed that just the medium-sized Antelogornis stueleti could have exerted bite forces of 150 newtons compared to the measly 40 newtons for eagles and serimas. This is because, unlike any other bird, the terror birds had few skull bones that made the skull and beak more rigid and hence stronger. But it did come with a cost though. Their skull bones were less mobile and thus much more sensitive to sideways pressure, significantly limiting their head movements while hunting. And this poses a problem because hunting bigger prey would have been almost impossible with such a fragile beak, leaving only small animals like rodents and snakes to be preyed upon. But there is still hope for apex predator terror birds, because some scientists suggest that terror birds could have hunted prey by using an attack and retreat hunting strategy. First, they would have either chased the prey down until it couldn't run anymore due to exhaustion, or they would have surrounded it to prevent escape if they hunted in packs. Then, they would have dealt quick attacks at vital areas with their sharp beaks, and then retreat to avoid damage, repeating the process several times. When the prey weakened, the terror bird could have subjugated it with its strong legs and dealt the final blow. So they could hunt large prey, but how were they able to find it in the first place? They do indeed come at a disadvantage of not having a developed sense of smell like mammals do, but where they lack in smell, they make up in hearing. Terror birds, in fact, had quite a special sense of hearing that enables them to hear frequencies much lower than other birds, with them themselves having deeper voices due to their large sizes. This is important because lower frequency sounds can travel further, making it possible for terror birds to detect prey that's miles away, and maybe even communicate with each other, making the scenario of terror birds hunting in packs just a tad bit more possible. Putting all these killer features together, there's no surprise that terror birds were the apex predators of South America. And they were so for quite a long time, but around 2 million years ago, their numbers rapidly declined, eventually leading to their extinction. Around 3 to 2.5 million years ago, a permanent land bridge formed between North and South America. The process took millions of years, driven by the colliding of the tectonic plates starting about 15 million years ago, with slow emergence of first small islands that over time connected with each other and formed the land bridge. This caused the so-called Great American Biotic Interchange that saw migration of the North American animals south and the South American ones north. This led to increased competition that eventually ended with the North American species winning out, leading to the extinction of many South American species. And the same was thought for the extinction of terror birds. Competition from the carnivorous mammals of the north left terror birds preyless. This scenario, however, has several holes in its logic, the main one being the first contact between the two was actually made by a terror bird that migrated north prior to the Great American Interchange. And, in fact, Titanis valerii lived in North America for 3 million years, surviving and even thriving alongside the wolves, bears, and big cats. So what was the main reason of their extinction then? The answer is climate change. In this period of time, we see the disappearance of the natural habitats that terror birds lived in, which severely impacted their specialized hunting strategies and prey. Added to that were the much more adaptable and varied mammal species that were able to wither the lack of food and adapt faster, and we've got a perfect recipe for extinction. So by around 2 million years ago, most if not all terror birds went extinct, leaving only bones behind them.